Hi,
Yes,
good morning. It's Sunday, the third Sunday of the month. I'm April Jackson, and you see next to me Wesley Hamilton. Hey, Wes.
What's up? What's up? Good morning, April. Good morning, everybody.
Hey, welcome to, we call it Sunday Safe Spaces. We try to get on the third Sunday of every month. We've been doing this for over 2 years, and Wes and I, this is a passion project for us. We get on here and we want to talk about all things Black. Like Issa Rae said, I'm rooting for everyone Black.
Seriously.
We're really happy and blessed to be on once again. And it's Women's History Month. So, you know, we are all about representing the times. And, Wes and I had some good conversations around centering this talk around women of color and women overall who are really doing the work to, I mean, women, we've always done the work to keep the family alive, keep the species alive, to keep the world going on, literally and figuratively. So I'm really happy to be here with you all. And please chime in, put things in the comments. This is a conversation we would really love to um, connect with, connect to community with. And if you're listening to this later on, still do the same because Wes and I are always engaging, him a little more than me, engaging through this media. And we want to be sure that we're representing your voices. We're here to share our voices and pontificate, but we really want to represent you. So, how are you feeling this Sunday, Wes?
I'm feeling good. Not complaining. It's a new week, and with new weeks come new opportunities, and um, yeah, new days to just keep pushing your passion. And so I don't know. I feel good. I feel good about the week. Just coming back to LA, so um, I'm liking this. I'm liking this process of like just trying to become more a part of like LA right now. So like I'm like excited to get out and do some stuff, go to a couple museums, like just really start to like tap into the scene. So I feel good right now. What's up,
Good.
April? How are you?
I'm
Um
good.
Sound like we was riding around in a big body Benz. Um, I see we can smile, right? No, April's
Yes.
April's been creating some blessings around, so we gotta give her some good reasons that we're happy to see her smiling right now too. So
But I would tell you, it's been a year, like January, like, and it hard, literally knocked out. And yeah, I got
yeah,
my grown woman car, and it's time to move on and grow up. Wes and I are funny because we have similar tastes. Uh,
yes,
uh,
yes.
your camera went out, but I don't know if you did that intentionally.
Oh, that it was not. Hold on, I got you.
So we are moving into spring, which I wanted to bring up. Like it's spring, you guys, or I should say spring friends. We're trying not to use the word guys when we're referring to everybody. But spring is here. And even though I'm in Pittsburgh, it is about 17 degrees right now. LA's been cold too. This is so fun. Wes is in Los Angeles having this new life and this new journey. And I was born and raised in California and lived my entire life up through college into adulthood and beyond there. So it's kind of fun watching him explore LA. And I haven't lived there in a really long time. I mean, I lived in Atlanta for 12 years. I've been in Pittsburgh since 2012. So it's kind of fun to explore and experience it through his eyes in this new way. But tomorrow's the first day of spring, all things new. So we're wishing you all some spring blessings. And maybe, Wes, when we end, we can maybe share some spring affirmations with everybody.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. I like that. Okay.
So we're talking about Women's History Month. They gave us Black folks the 28 days, and then they were like, "Let's go ahead and give the women a month." Um, And I hope you all know that we advocate celebrating all year around and recognizing people's achievements. But
Absolutely.
one person we want to start off who's not a woman of color is Miss Judy, who, am I right that she was at Berkeley? Was she in California?
For um okay, so Judy Human, mover and shaker in the disability space. Definitely was in California, a part of
Mhm.
the sit-in that was in San Francisco, that kind of really helped push the ADA, with support of the Black Panther Party, that allowed them to be fed for, I think, the 20 plus days that they sat in to make sure that
Keep
this
on talk about that.
was pushed out. So, yeah, I think anyway, very, very powerful force. I've never met a woman with a disability with so much force behind her. Like, I remember just the first time me and Judy talked, it was just like, I mean, she corrected me in many ways. I think I was just still learning. I was still learning my advocacy and things, and Judy would kind of just allow me to know when I was still speaking and ableist, language and things like that. She was never a fan of my nonprofit name, Disabled, but not really. So I'm just going to say that, like, never was a fan of it. So, but was a supporter of it. And, uh, but yeah, me and Judy just, yeah, we were just really great friends. But all in all, she passed away at the beginning of this month, and just really was just a hit for the whole, like, disabled community. And I think it was more or less, at least for me, I didn't think I was ever losing Judy. I thought Judy was just around and she was just going to be around and all of those good things. So we're just representing her and honoring her life and allowing people to continue to know her legacy and know that, it's because of her as well as a lot of others, but I would say a handful, that they went out and really pushed this ADA Act that we talk about so heavily on these calls, because we're still trying to fight for accessibility. We're still trying to fight for the inclusion piece. We're still trying to fight to, as some of my friends say, like, make people understand that the D in diversity means disability, right? So, I think that just all of those around kind of just came from a powerful force like Judy. And again, when you have that, it allows you to really understand the power that women have, and what they are capable of, with the voice. And yeah, it's just so much power behind it. So, just wanted to take our time to really highlight Judy for a second before we went into any other women of history, because a lot of people don't share disability history, don't honor a lot of women within the disability space. And so we definitely just wanted to be the ones to take that time to acknowledge. But then when you think about other women in history, you think about, I mean, outside of personal relationships, we all have the women in our own background history that we can take and acknowledge for the impact that they have made on our lives, whether it's our parents, our grandparents, our godparents, someone that came from the school system that might have cared for you. There are just women in those type of elements that, yeah, we take honor and pride for. But then we look at, women dated all the way back to, the beginning of time, and just the voice that it carried to help, really create and structure this country, and the things, especially the Black women, when we hear about the stories of Harriet Tubman being a visionary of the Underground Railroad, or, Rosa Parks, speaking up on a bus. And even though she might not have been the first person, she was a brutal force that allowed that bus boycott to keep moving. And so, when we have individuals like that, we take honor, especially when they're women, Sojourner Truth. I know Black History Month was last month, but I mean, it's still women that we want to acknowledge. And um, yeah, I mean, I even think I can't think of the lady's name right now, but when you think of oh, April, you might be able to help me, but it's the NASA story. What was that movie about the Black women that really helped?
Oh, yeah, what was the name of the story? Hold on. I know the name of the story, and because one of the women is one of my sorority sisters, Alpha Kappa Sorority Incorporated, Hidden Figures.
Hidden figures. So that's why I think that it's important to really speak about women in history, because you have those hidden figures that was in the back of everything, but really help move everything forward. And
Mhm.
so, at least for me, I was just sharing some Black history, share some, honor to like Harriet Tubman, acknowledgement to those individuals, just so people can understand. But I also talked about the women in our past, April, just in our own lives, in our own history of our parents, our grandparents, and
Mhm.
so just was kind of giving people an overview. And yes, I know you had some technical difficulties, but
What is
Judy,
it about today,
I
right?
feel I feel like Judy got all the flowers.
And, she wasn't an African American woman, but that's why we're here. We're talking about the intersectionality of everything, and I didn't even realize, that point about the Black Panther Party supplying the food and everything when they were holding that sit-in at Berkeley. It's that intersectionality.
Yeah, no, seriously, that history is always the history that's kind of left behind. I think for me, though, I always try to push it out, especially through our org, because people need to understand, even back then, when you have a group that's been so hated on and looked at for such negativity, you should look at the positive things, but also look at how that actually helped push all the other movements. So as we get the ability to um acknowledge it, right? Like we
Mhm.
acknowledge that this ADA movement pushed all these other movements, but then here we are still fighting for a certain movement, still fighting
Right.
for certain rights and things within when it comes to disability. But that day, those days, um, they did get support, and Judy was a voice, and she was a voice among other powerful women, and there was women with disabilities and women of color with disabilities there as well, and they combined their minds and their voices, and they got something pushed that has really shifted and changed society from that moment forward. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, like literally, that's that power of women. I'm
Power
just
of women. Yes, I have, pictures of my, grandmother and my mom down on the Den, and I always think of how you talk about your grandmother, Wes, and, like, we are here today because of them, because of women, so we celebrate Women's History Month, and again, just looking at the women in our own families and uplifting and upholding them is so important. I, read a statistic earlier, I think this morning, because I was up at 4, but women who get sick or come down with a disability or have a chronic illness or disease, this is the statistics, but they say men are 6 times more likely to leave their, spouses, their women, when they get sick than women are to leave theirs. So, what it made me think about is it's so important to, embrace and uphold women because the stress, the microaggressions, the pressure women are under today to nurture families, to raise families, to get paid equitably, to be working in the same capacity as others, we need the support. We need the support of everyone. And so Women's History Month, I think, is a time to just reflect on that. Wes, we're on YouTube, everybody. Hi. Lucretia and Sonia said hello.
Hey, what's up, y'all?
Thank you for joining us. And if you have any questions or input or want to say anything, please chime in, everybody. Also in history, you talk about like way back, everybody I think learns about Harriet Tubman. I had to think about that because, there's only so much they teach us in history class. But Harriet Tubman, there was a movie about her recently. And she would have these spells, as they called them. In actuality, she had a disability. They
Yeah.
don't know if it was narcolepsy or whatever, but she would have seizures. And what what has motivated me, because thinking of Judy was in her 70s, I believe, when she passed away.
Don't let me put an age on a woman.
There you go. Yeah, smart man. And I think about Harriet Tubman and just the idea that because you have a disability, seen or unseen, doesn't mean life stops. And I
Mm,
know I have felt like that. You get down. I
yeah,
mean, honestly, you get down because in our ableist society, you feel like you're not a regular human being, compared to what that other standard is. And to see our foremothers, you know, take the helm and the torch and be just above average in all ways. I hope it can inspire all of us to continue to move and do and be.
absolutely. Um, so so I had looked up a couple of things I wanted to share because I feel like when we have all these different months and days that we are now acknowledging. I think things have always existed, but I think it's just more on the forefront because social media is just one of those driving tools. So I looked up some things for my own understanding of like Women History Month and, where did it come from? And what I learned was that it used to be Women's History Week. And it
Mhm.
was around, in the 80s, which, evolved into a month-long celebration. Um, I think it's just really, you know, important for us to acknowledge, even with this, that women wasn't really acknowledged for their impact in like society until, the 80s, right? Like, and so again, this is what we're talking about women today, right? Like, so I'm going to make sure that when you hear so much about women rights and you hear all these women really fighting, and trust me, the movements are looking amazing right now. So the work is really getting done when it comes to like equal pay and all of these things. But yeah, it's just the acknowledgement and just knowing how much women has made an impact. Think about your mama. Think
Yeah.
about your mama, right? Like at the end of the day, your mama helped you made an impact on your life. I hope, right? Like for the most part, for most people, it was some woman in your life that made a significant impact that helped you develop into the person that you are. Whether they taught you how to love, care, be kind, or even pay a bill in some communities, right? Like at the end of the day, they taught you something, and so. But I just think that it's important that we share, and acknowledge that women have faced barriers themselves. Rather, of course, there's privilege in all things in all communities, but I think that women have had it hard. And, when you add disability on top of that, just like any other intersection within that, it becomes a little bit harder as well. And so acknowledging the power of those women, acknowledging women that have moved and shaped despite the barriers and obstacles that society has created, rather they have a disability or society sees their inability to actually move forward. All the women that's been in the military making moves and shake, like seriously, it's been a beautiful thing. I got some family that's really making good strides in the military. So acknowledging that women of arts, our vocals. are women, right? Whitney Houston, I love you, baby. Like, I'm sorry, but just kind of shifting it a little bit and just like, I remember being in Amsterdam, April, and like I think I shared on the Instagram, but they played and I Love You by Whitney Houston. And you had all these different cultures and everybody was singing it. And I'm just
It's
like,
beautiful.
it's just the voice and the power and the passion behind, you know, that really, it was a beautiful thing. So again, just wanted to acknowledge all of those and let people know that, everyone goes through a struggle. Women have not being pushed out of that, right? Like they have actually faced a lot of struggle. And when you do represent different backgrounds, it becomes a lot harder. But shout out to the people that have overcome all of those obstacles and still making, history. And I know we're like on Facebook and all these different sites. So Dr. Nicole Price, I just want to shout you out if you watch this, because you're making history as a woman that I have met just in Kansas City. And of course, I would definitely share who she is and what she's doing with you, April. But just wanted to just shout her name out because this woman, I've just watched the things she's doing in Kansas City to change
Mm,
the racial gap. And it's been a beautiful thing. And she's making history. So
that's awesome. No, Dr. Nicole Price, guest on our next Sunday Safe Spaces. Hi, Nicole. That's my middle name. So I look forward to meeting you as well. I you know, we're talking about the strides and of women, and I was listening to you, Wes, and thinking all women, you know, we have we have a similar story. And when we talk about the movement, there's been a lot of struggle in the movement because for a long time, um, white women eventually got they were the passage to vote, but Black women still could not vote. And I read an interesting editorial the other day about the feminist movement. And, there's definitely a schism in the feminist movement between what most white women see as feminism and what most Black women see in the feminist movement. And, for a long time, it's the Black women who cleaned the houses and who did the laundry and who were domestic workers. And I mean, if I had a full-time domestic worker, I would have a little more allowance to go into what I wanted to do, dive into my passions. And I did get support for raising my kids, later on, but that's something we want to acknowledge. And that's why we talk about, the struggles of Black women and, Latinas and, Asian women. Asian women are considered, oh, the model minority. Ton of discrimination, against women specifically who are of Asian descent. And I don't leave anyone out, but it's real important that we highlight those and we lift them up because the struggle is universal. And when you oppress one, you oppress everyone. And so I like that you brought up Hidden Figures. And there was one scientist in a room. I mean, there's three women, but this one woman, I mean, if you saw that episode where she had to walk all the way across campus just to use the bathroom because all of the bathrooms were white only, white women only. And because she was Black, although she was probably the smartest one there, period, right? Because she's the one who did those calculations, she still wasn't honored for that until recently. And so that's real important. And we want to know that we're all being elevated. And so this month, we're celebrating women, but we also need to look at the crap that's going down. Florida, Texas, I think Wisconsin just banned a pill that would help women be able to, have a safe abortion, which is medically necessary a lot of times. And so right now we're fighting this fight where women are having to go to the government to make a decision about their own bodies.
yeah.
So when you said the fight is still going on, Wes, it literally is still going on.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because the abortion thing, and all of
The dog coming in.
all of that was just, making a lot of ruckus and noise just last year. So again, like we look at times and, even though every day changes, like the struggle still happens. And so it's just kind of like when people think about, just again, like you just start looking and looking at the lack of acknowledgement or, I remember like, you hearing those stories of like Amelia, is it Amelia Earhart?
Mhm.
Like, and I
Yeah.
remember just hearing stories about like her and flying and things, but then the disconnect of seeing more women as pilots.
Mhm. Oh my gosh, I just recently I feel like I've seen more women pilots, like, on the
Yeah,
plane, I see a woman pilot. That's
exactly.
yeah, yeah,
And so just even acknowledging so that those opportunities become more, available, right? Like, and so just really paying attention to, like the one, thinking about how many people could have probably, thought and saw themselves within NASA system, if they had seen who was actually behind making a lot of things happen.
yeah.
Right, like, again, it's just some people push, but some people need to see themselves in certain positions for them to move forward, and so, that's rather you're a woman, a man, a person with a disability, that representation is so important, and so we have the right now to actually highlight that for the younger generation to be able to visualize and see so many people that's paved the way for them so that they can see a magnitude of opportunities and not just be in one lane, right? Like you ain't just gotta go and be in a house, cook and clean, right? Like it's just, I mean, I got my
Yes, you choose to.
right, like, but I got my daughter too. So I think for me, it's just kind of when I think about it, it's highlighting and allowing her to constantly see that she can do whatever. And I'm just trying to be behind and support whatever her decisions are instead of her thinking that she's limited
Right.
because of being a woman or because there's not some type of visual representation that she can actually be motivated by.
I think that's wonderful, and it makes me think of the power of having a father figure around. There's a study I'm dropping all this knowledge, as I study, but I remember reading this when because I have 3 boys, but they were saying that, girls take more risks when their dads are engaged with them more because, and I'm generalizing, there's differences, but, men will throw their daughter in the air and, be rough and tussle, and a lot of times, I know I wouldn't kinda do that. Maybe now I would, but, just having that masculine and feminine energy, and I like how you're saying, like, you're exposing her to everything because really the choice is yours to make. That's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
That's very
But
powerful.
but think about it from this, April, it's just me being able to, as I title myself, a student of life.
Mhm.
That's me being able to learn and listen, like most people should be doing
Mm,
around these times, and starting to see what women are talking about, starting to see the movements and hear what has been prevented or restricted or controlled and doing it a different way. It's like I can change the narrative with the way I parent, with the way that I create understanding with my child by listening to what's happening right now. So
right.
that's I literally have an open ear to other, other fights that are happening within our country and within society itself. And I'm just like, huh, dang, y'all struggle, okay, let me not push this narrative to my daughter. Let me, I have a couple friends and I just always talk about feeling free or something like that.
Mm,
And so I'm like, how can I kind of back up from what I, grew up and seeing as when it came to parenting? And so a lot of times I tell my daughter, I'm like, you know what? My only question to you is what you want out of life. And once you come up with that answer, I support that. And so
mm,
it's like if you're still figuring it out right now, you're just gonna figure it out. Like, but that took a long time because at first I was like, hey, my way or the highway, and then I'm
mhm.
like, then I start listening to women like I'm tired of just one way or the highway, not. But it was real. And so instead I said, let me just and so a lot of times if she's doing good or bad, I'm just kind of like, hey, once you can answer that question, we're gonna know what we gotta do. You
Yeah.
know, and right now, while you figuring it out, just keep listening, learning, and keep going.
I like that. It's like you're giving her agency over her own self.
Yep.
And a lot, I know often when I was a little
We're not
girl,
trying to Britney her over here.
right? And it's like, you better sit down and be quiet. This is what you should do, and this is what you shouldn't do, and this is how you could act and how you shouldn't act, and blah, blah, blah. Um, I was thinking of, we're thinking of women in our lives, and I do want to shout out, like, there are women still doing things today, and there are women on the grand scale, women grassroots. I would be remiss if I didn't bring up, like, Open Up was, it was created. It was the genesis is through women,
Mhm.
and so shout out Marissa's in the background. Shout out Marissa, Megan, and Tessa. They came up with an idea, and they had a lived experience with disability, through their family, and they decided to start their own agency. And there are many others who do the same thing, many other women,
Yeah.
and that's what we want to support.
Listen, I feel like it's a lot of women. Most of my people I work with on the back end are women-owned businesses. I see women on a lot, and agencies, people that are getting those ads out that you guys love so much. A lot of women are behind it, moving and shaking. There's always a woman voice in a position that's doing things. My assistant that worked with me helps us grow so much. So shout out to her. And then even, our trainers, they're always women. Women will lead, women
Mhm.
will push, women will have that level of empathy and love to help things move. I've always seen women are more of volunteers when it comes to the work that I do. Like again, like acknowledging all of that, because I think when we see it today, we need to understand it's always been in the history. And
Mhm.
it's just never been shown. But to me, women has always been dedicated. I watch my mom always helping and doing and serving, right? Like women
Mhm.
serve and women love and women keep going. So shout out to all the women that has really helped all of this happen. Because you're right, April. Like I don't think we've had like a big boss man that we've talked to through these like planning and things. I've been surrounded by women around here, and and we've had look at where we are. So
Mhm.
women
Mhm.
makes the world go round.
It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. There are two things I was thinking about when you were talking about, when we're talking about our daughter and history. I bought my niece a book, and I actually am going to buy it for myself, but I'll drop it in this chat for everybody, and then also with share it with you on our newsletter. But it's called Little Leaders: Bold Women in Black History by Vashti Harrison. And when I tell you it's the cutest book, it's like all these Black women leaders through history, but they're all like little women, and the way that they're drawn and stuff. And my niece is in elementary school going to middle school, and I thought it would be a good way for her to see and read these summaries of these, like Mae Jemison and the Harriet Tubmans and the women who are here today, the Maya Angelou's, everyone. Like, there are so many wonderful women doing things. But that's a book I'm going to read, and you can get it for your daughter. Maybe I'll send you a copy, Wes. That's what I'll do, so she can read it too, because it's a real wonderful, warm, fuzzy book to read.
No, I love that. I think that'll be fun. We're always about the book, so I need to get more into trying to figure out what more literature. But goodness, I seen something the other day. I had to find it because I seen like a Black woman's book club that's based out of New York. I think I seen on Instagram or something. But
Mhm.
um, I was just scrolling down, but it seemed like the lady that's in charge of it, she definitely highlights a lot of different Black books, and I was just seeing a lot of different titles. Um, Shout out to Crystal Reed back in KC. Just good friend of mine, but she started writing maybe 2, 3 years ago. I can't think of what the first book is, but she wrote a children's book called I Can Be Me in KC. And she's
Oh,
highlighted a lot of, individuals, Black, brown, and so on, like within this book. And it's beautiful. And so I just wanted to share because that one, yeah, hometown, homegrown, but
I
it was
looked
it's
it
powerful.
up. I can be me. Oh, it's so cute. Oh,
Yes,
my sister, congratulations. Oh, it is so cute. The cover is beautiful.
yes. And she's, a mother and a wife, and I love her family. We've done a lot of serving together. And so, yeah, just highlighting that and seeing again, women lead, women push, women make sure that things can be visible. Think about bell hooks. I know I'm just going into books, but shoot, every
Mhm.
time I open up this bell hooks book, it's over in another room. It's so powerful. Woo.
Drops knowledge, right?
So again, rather it's through literature, rather it's through influence, or on the back end, women has created the history that we love so much.
I was looking at Bev Smith. She has a TED talk on. Let me get it right. Bevy Smith. I don't want to mess it up, but she talks about changing the trajectory of your life and doing it at any age. And she oh, I wanted to get she what do you call it? She trademarked what she says, and I'll find out what it is, but basically, like, oh, it gets greater later. That's what she
Mm,
says. It gets greater later. And she was in fashion. She quit her job in her late 30s, and she's like, I was broke between 40 and 45, but she's probably 56 or 57, and she's like a force to be reckoned with. And she is on Sirius Radio, has her own talk show. She has like all kind of stuff. Her hands are in everything. But it goes to show you again this amazing Black woman who changed the trajectory of her life. She shifted and moved, and not because she had to, it's because she made a choice to do it. Um,
mhm,
and that speaks to also another thing about ageism. We talk about women, and our culture is like full of youth culture, which is great. I'm learning so much. Um, but life doesn't end. Like, I see all these people posting on Twitter and stuff like, "Oh my god, I'm 30. I'm so old." I'm like, "Are you freaking kidding me?" You
That
are not.
you know what, April? That's because nowadays society has made it to think that you have to be, wealth comes when you're young, and I've always told people that when I looked at successful people, they definitely looked and resembled someone at an older stance and an older age with a little bit more knowledge. Yeah, you had some people that had a little bit of money at a young age, but they didn't have the knowledge. And so it was more fast. What I'm just saying is that most people think that if they didn't do it in their prime, then life is over. And it's like, you can't see what your prime is because if you've lived 20 years, but you got 80 more, then you're limiting yourself.
Oh my gosh, you said it. If you have 80 more, right? If you can live a long, healthy, or even
Fruitful life, right? Like, and so I always say, like, I'm 35 now, and within my 35 years, I just look at being excited for the next 35 because of all the things that I've learned and gained right now, right? Like, and so when I look at it, it's like, man, if I get to live another 35 and I already made all these mistakes now, I'm like,
right.
life ain't over. Life just getting started, but you ain't gotta make no. So I hope people can see it from that angle. Yes, maybe you're not gonna club and do all those things anymore. But at the same time, when you start to look back, those things are the things that won't allow you to live long. Those things become more harder on your body when you become more people pleasing and going out to society to make others happy without taking care of you first. When you
Yeah.
get older, you realize the power of self love, the self care, and the ability to start to rest, right? Like, and so that's what I can say with age that I've learned. Age comes knowledge, wisdom, and wealth. When you're younger, you just living a fast life, and that looks good. It
Yeah.
looks good until you're 35, and life's only over because you've never even developed it.
Yeah. And it's okay. Like there's a time and a season, and I say do it then. I'd rather see somebody partying, clubbing, drinking, and all that in your 20s and then doing it every day later on in your 30s, 40s, 50s. But I will say there's a time and place for all of it. So have fun. Wes and
It
I are
is.
not above having a good drink and a good time and having
It
fun.
is time and place. People probably like, man, Wes, I see you over there with them old fashions, big dog. But for me,
Get
my way,
balance.
everything is balanced. But I did all that kicking in, and then when I was 24, life was gonna be over for me, And so I want people to understand, like, you just go after your passion, and you allow, life to be able to follow you. But
Right, right, right.
that's for women, men, people of color, whoever. But don't deter, don't get blinded by the distractions that we all see, because most times we see the reward without the work. And the
That's
work has to be able to come for the reward to actually look right. And
true.
so that's it. There's just struggle before the reward, however that looks. And so don't ever see that and chase that without focusing on that work first.
I'm writing down a little West quote. I could put it in the reward before the work. And I think, as a woman, I think it's important to share, our life is not over, our looks are not over, our bodies are not over, and it's okay. Like, I think it's important that we celebrate our bodies and we celebrate ourselves, and we're not just so sexualized. We're not put on as being, we're not objectified. And I think that's really, really, really important to emphasize, especially to young ladies. I just saw China. Is it China Black? Is that how you say your last name?
Black China.
Yeah, Black China. Oh, Lord.
I
That's
got you. I
See,
got you.
that's why it's important to be with somebody else. She got her implants removed, I think from her breast and from her bottom. I think. No, no, no. Maybe it was her lips and her cheeks and
Okay.
her breast. But she got her fillers removed and she got her implants removed. And I think somebody else did too. But it's real important. Like, listen, no shade to anybody who does whatever they choose to do to their bodies, to their hair. I don't care. Like, do what makes you feel good and what you really want to do. And at the same time, understand, do it for you. Be authentic, be true to yourself, because society will have you twisted. And these pictures and everything that we see, they will have you twisted. But when we look, I think that's another reason to look back at women. And we're talking about women who had disabilities and still made great strides. They did it authentically within their own selves.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we highlighted in our newsletter, which will go out this week, you guys. So please reach out, sign up, tap in at Open Up Pittsburgh. There's a link, I think, disabled but not really. Tap into Wes's site, and we will get all this out. But Wilma Rudolph had polio as a little girl, and she ended up being an Olympic gold medal winner, African American woman. This other woman who we really would like to have her on, Habeen Girma. She's the first woman to graduate from Harvard Law School. She's a disability advocate. She's all about disability justice. She's the first deaf-blind person to graduate
Wow.
from Harvard, like just recently. And I mean,
Shout out to her.
oh my gosh, because listen, me getting to law school, being able to see and hear is a hot. Obviously, I'm not a lawyer. I didn't do it, but it's like you can do what you desire to do and what's motivated in you to do. I think about that like when you're like, my friend wrote a book. I'm like, shout out. And that's really what we wanted to do today, you all. Just shout out the women, shout out the women of the past, shout out the women now, shout out the women of the future. Wes's daughter, my niece, there are many women who are coming up, and we want to be an example and show them that we are all okay. We're not going to be ableist and say, oh, they overcame their disability. No, it's because of who they are and where they are and how they present and what they bring into the world that has created the success.
Exactly. It's just, I think it's the rose in the concrete, and
Mhm.
and it's still a rose,
It
right?
is still a
And
rose, still
so
beautiful.
So yeah, shout out to all the roses that are out here, just constantly flourishing, no matter what the surface is, right? Like, and so.
Wonderful. So, we're winding up this hour. We thank you all for being here. Um, this is tomorrow's first day of spring, so I know I'm going to put a new wreath on my front door. It's still cold, but spring is coming. I
I would have
can't
never known that.
see the vernal equinox is what it's called, Wes. And hopefully, I don't know. Let's see. What's the rain forecast like? You got so he's in LA, and it's been raining more there
I'm
than it
ready
has.
to leave. I'm ready to leave. I came up here for sunshine,
You
and
ain't get it.
yeah, yeah, I've been in this house more than I've been outside. Okay, this is
Oh,
not.
it's raining now out there, isn't it?
Well, it's like off and on, but it's definitely not the best weather to go to the beach, and just sit
It sure
there.
isn't. Mm-mm. And you
So,
have rain 3 days this week.
like I
I
said,
was
I'm ready. I'm about,
break,
I'm
but
about
now I'm like,
ready to what Tony say? Because it's not real. It's not real.
it's raining in California, everyone. But the beauty of it all is that some of like the lake basins have risen. Like California was drought, 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 drought,
It
drought.
was. It was.
It's come at a big sacrifice. Like lives have been lost.
I mean, the
So,
mountains look good too. That's why I keep looking back. The mountains look real good today. So,
and the air is clear. The best time at home in LA is when it has rained. There
mm,
is no smog. So you have good air quality.
yeah, see, that's good. So,
So
well,
yeah, first day of spring. We got some spring. What do we want to tell everybody for spring affirmations? I am renewed, I think is a good affirmation.
I guess that does sound really good. But let me look.
Well,
Let me tap in real quick and see what I got.
and while you're tapping in, everyone, I did share the books, Little Leaders, Bold Women in Black History, and I shared Wes's friend's book, I Can Be Me in KC. You all continue to read. Wes still reads his affirmations. Uh,
Mm,
I'll have a little book resource guide in our newsletter. And again, please feel free to sign up for our newsletter at openuppittsburgh.org. I think I said that right, Marissa, as far as our website is. We really go to Disabled But Not Really. They're doing some big things, Wes. I see what's going on with Disabled But Not
I'm
Really.
excited. I'm excited. That's yeah. I'm excited. We'll have a talk
Okay.
real soon.
Okay. All right. All right.
All right, I got some. I got 5 of them.
Okay, 5 affirmations for the spring.
All right, y'all ready? Y'all ready? All
I'm
right.
ready.
As the flowers bloom, so does my potential for growth and renewal.
Ooh, I like that.
I embrace the freshness of spring and invite positive energy into my life.
Mm,
With each day, I become more in tune with the natural rhythm of life,
mm,
awakening my true potential.
I love that.
I am open to new beginnings and I blossom with confidence, love, and abundance this spring.
New,
Yeah.
new beginnings. What are you all gonna do that's new? Like it can be something real little. It could be something big, but the little things lead up to that bigger thing. So listen, no pressure. Do what works for you. And I want to drop too that an affirmation is for you. And the intention behind it is to bring movement forward. So sometimes we'll say an affirmation of like, I am so rich and I am just abundantly wealthy when literally we are not. And it doesn't feel good. Like there's no alignment between the two. And it's okay to project and to speak things that are not as though they are. So that's important to do. But I love these affirmations because they speak to now like I am open, I am ready, I am ready for new beginnings. And just keep saying that you just keep saying it and it'll settle in your spirit.
So before we end, I'll just share this quote since April wanted to share the importance of affirmations. but it's from Muhammad Ali, and I share it as much as I can. He says it's the repetition of affirmations that leads to belief. And once
Mm,
that belief becomes a deep conviction, things begin to happen. Not only do you have to speak it, you have to believe what you're speaking, and you have to be intentional about the words that you speak. And when you are intentional, then everything around you feels that energy starts to shift and energy starts to change for you, and your life starts to change by the words that you speak to yourself. If you want to be loved, you have to speak love within yourself first. You have to, and then you
mm,
have to believe that you love yourself first. And you have to truly love yourself for you to be able to freely love others. It's all those things. But so when you, like April said, like when you're in that mirror, when you're just in that car, whatever, if you want to start small with affirmations and then grow into them, start with ones that you can believe now. Start with ones that you can actually speak with intention.
mhm.
Today is going to be great. You see what I did there? Like, you don't have to go and speak about the future. You can speak right now. And if today becomes better than yesterday, you know you spoke that. You know
Mm.
you, and it became a reality for you. So you, everybody's getting up. If you're not already up, moving and grooving, speak a couple affirmations that really give yourself power today.
Today, today, I love that. Thank you, Wes. I'll share one more quote from a Black woman to close us out. Uh, one of the greatest writers in our country and in the world, Audre Lorde. She said, "When I dare to be powerful, to use my strength in the service of my vision, then it becomes less and less important whether I'm afraid."
Mm.
Audre Lorde. So, with that, everyone, cheers. I got my Aries cup because it's Aries season. Woo, woo.
It's all good. We're the first of the year, so I'm good. I'm did
I
my
get a
celebration.
I get a lot. Listen, in honor of Black women, my mother was a Capricorn.
All right. Well,
All right,
let's bring that Aries energy this month.
that's right. Let's get it. It's all month long. So, peace, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We will see you in April with a fun guest and a real. We have some fun stuff happening the next few months, but April we're really looking forward to.
All right.
All
See